Hi, and welcome back to another Stratazine podcast. I'm James Rognan, and joining me today we have Maya, Colton, Celeste, Tyler, and Addie. Today we're going to be talking about, let's see here, let me read this to make sure I get it correctly. We're going to the topic of today is creators' use of connection, presentation, and purpose within the different corners of the internet. So connection is really going to be talking about how they connect with their audiences. Presentation is the visual representation, right, of things, and then the purpose is like the reasons why or the value, right, that providers provide. Okay, awesome. Maya, you're up first, right? And you've been researching the role of lifestyle, like purpose in lifestyle content. Is that right?
Yeah, thanks for that. I've been looking into lifestyle content, the niche, and how creators use purpose to build meaningful relationships with their audience, and how they need to have a clear purpose before even producing any kind of content. So, I put together a video that dives more into that topic.
Have you ever watched someone's daily routine or vlog and felt oddly comforted by it? That is because the creator probably had a clear purpose. While all creator categories use connection, purpose, and presentation to build their platform, I'll focus on how purpose shows up specifically in lifestyle content. Lifestyle creators tend to produce very similar types of content, like routines, daily vlogs, etc. Since the formats look alike, audiences don't differentiate creators based on what they post, but more on why they follow them. Research from Stanford Social Innovation Review tells us that people engage more with content that reflects their values, identity, or emotional needs. In lifestyle content, purpose is communicated through the role the creator plays in an audience's life. While two creators could post nearly identical videos, one might feel more motivating, while the other could feel more grounding. That difference in the purpose behind one's content is what shapes how audiences interpret the content and who they gravitate towards, which aligns with research from Harvard Business Review on identity based engagement. For new creators, including businesses, this means that building your lifestyle content isn't about copying formats. It's about being clear on your purpose your content serves and what you want people to feel when they watch it. Here are my sources, and remember that feeling is the purpose behind lifestyle content. It is the reason it's so engaging and so powerful.
So, yeah, as you can see from that video, like purpose is so important because it's what kind of differentiates creators from one another and is even crucial for like different businesses when they are creating content. So, a question I have is what are some creators that you have connected to versus ones that like maybe are similar in content but you haven't? For me personally, I don't know if you know the creators, Emily Kaiser and Avery Woods. They're big lifestyle creators and they do very similar contents. They're both moms. They both live in big cities, but for me, I personally connect more with Avery Woods just because of the way she carries herself, her confidence, her style, and how even though she's a mom, she kind of doesn't necessarily fall into that category, which I feel like will be me when I get to that stage in my life, which is why I feel like I would connect with it a lot. But yeah, so what do you guys think?
I also really like Emily Kaiser. I think her content really does have a good purpose. It's all about family and like keeping her house together, and I feel like that's something that I enjoy watching because I also like to do resets and cleaning and stuff like
Yeah.
that. And I feel like that's what makes her content so interesting is because it does have a purpose and I know what I'm getting into when I watch her.
Yeah. No, that makes
For
sense.
me, I don't really watch lifestyle content as much, but I can tell you that I know that lifestyle content without a purpose is like detrimental. Because I
Yeah.
mean, really, it comes down to my sisters watching the Ace Family when I was younger, and obviously they were younger too. And their entire thing was lifestyle, right? They would show you their family and like
Yeah.
what that would be like to be them and in their house and playing with their kids. And then, when they came under fire, I mean, it was pretty detrimental to their brand, and they lost a lot of their audience. So I think that, I mean, I guess that doesn't necessarily answer your question, but I
No,
think that,
yeah.
I mean, it's the way that a creator in the lifestyle content space without a purpose and who comes under fire for their
Yeah.
purpose really really fails.
No, yeah, and that's like such a good point. Like in the Ace Family, once they kind of lost that purpose of family, right? It's like their whole audience and everyone was just kind of like taken back and kind of lost interest. And like even over the years, I feel like they've tried individually to like gain a lot of traction again, but it's very not the same and not nearly as good as it used to be. And going back to Emily Kaiser, um she lost a child not too long ago, for those that know her, and that was like a big part of her like, you know, content and her purpose in social media. And even though that's happened and she's taken a long time to, like, continue moving forward and pressing through that, she still has retained that purpose, which still goes to show how strong her purpose is behind her content.
No, for sure. And I think like with that purpose, when you go through something so hard as that, it's if that purpose is driving you, like just to get up and post content or anything, it allows for consistency, which is like so important, which is one of the things that like I'll talk about here in a second. But I think that purpose overall, especially in like lifestyle content, allows for your like audience to connect with you more as well.
Yeah, for sure. And do you think that audiences follow lifestyle creators more for their information or like how the content makes them feel?
I would probably say that it's definitely how it makes them feel, especially with a purpose. Because with lifestyle content, if we were to look at someone like Casey Neistat, who was a travel influencer, he did a lot of that stuff on the internet. I think that you would follow him for the feeling that you would get when he would go to those places and experience those things, rather than just like him saying like, yeah, I flew first class. They gave me this. And yeah, I went to Mozambique. I did this here.
Yeah.
It's that I did this and I got to fly first class and oh my gosh, this was just so interesting and fun because I got to do this and this. And I think that that really changes the way that people view that content as well.
No, yeah.
He talked about that in one of his most recent videos. This has been a couple of years, but it was the first class flight, and it was from like Dubai. I don't know if you guys ever saw this. It was like $25,000, I think, was the plane ticket one way, which
Oh my
he
gosh.
said afterwards, like, this went so viral. Yeah, right. It went so crazy and got shared so much because, I mean, one, it happened during COVID, but two, like, how many people are ever going to experience what it's like to have a $25,000 plane ticket that's flying first class, like
Right.
where your seat folds out fully and like into a bed, all of that kind of stuff. You get a shower on the plane, like, and that's the point, right?
Yeah.
Like, it's about that. You experience something. It's almost living vicariously, right, through different stuff. So, Maya, thank you. Well, let's move on. Did you have any other questions?
No, that's it.
Okay, awesome. Addie, you've been looking into beauty influencer industry and how they do their presentations, right? Okay, tell us a little about what you found out.
Thanks, Brother Ragnan. I thought I had a basic understanding of like TikTok algorithms and what people look for in the beauty industry. There are so many different sections of the beauty industry, whether they be get ready with me, story time, skincare routines. There are a whole slew of different niches to get into. Today we're going to be watching some of my favorite creators and doing a little bit of a deep dive into their page and how they use presentation for themselves.
These are two beauty moguls in the industry, Michaela Nagura and Grace Scott. Focusing on these two influencers that are utilizing these tips, the first page we are seeing is Grace Scott's. She does get ready with these and transition videos and just talks about life similar to Michaela. They focus on relatability and authenticity. That is one of the most important things according to Hootsuite 2025 when wanting to become an influencer. But making sure their pages are cohesive helps with that overall professional presentation feel. That is backed by research done by South Bay Marketing saying that real content is better than safe or perfect content. That doesn't mean that the visual shouldn't be consistent. Things these two influencers do well. The next thing that Horizon Marketing states that is super important is audio quality, even over visual quality. If audio quality is bad, then a person is more likely to scroll past that video after 5 seconds than if visual quality is bad. They would recommend a $20 lavalier microphone to improve sound quality. According to Shot Blast Media, sound quality is what separates an influencer from just another person. Keep these small tips in mind when you're producing content next.
Yeah, I think that consistency, relatability, and like sound quality is something that I look for whenever I'm watching content. Is that something that like y'all notice or is super important to y'all as well?
I think that in the beauty space, quality is so important because you're trying to show off these products to the best that you can. And if your sound quality is bad or overall just like look is bad, then it makes the products look bad. And I think that kind of makes you look bad as a creator. So it's really important to have those good quality elements in the beauty space, I think.
Yeah, going off of that, obviously with the beauty aspect, you want to be well put together, portraying obviously what people want to look like. And so having that level of quality in your work is really important just to connect with that audience in that way.
Yeah, for sure. And like we were talking about earlier, just like it doesn't matter like the cost of the products. It
Yeah.
just matters that like you're putting good products together and like using those talents, right?
I like how you mentioned in your video about consistency, because like I'm in taking a digital branding class, and right, like building a brand is so much about consistency.
Mhm.
And whether that's like a literal business brand, which social media at this point in time is that kind of thing,
Yeah.
you have to be doing the same. And I think that's so important. And just like in your presentation, right, it's like making sure you're consistent, people can recognize you a bit more. And like obviously following trends and fitting certain formats will help, but also making sure that like you do have that recognizability without having to follow that at all times. So I think
Yeah.
it's really interesting how you brought that up as well.
Thanks. I think that is so important. Like just like we saw from like Michaela's post, like all six like in a like post right after another will look very, very similar. And I think that shows like the different stages that she's in, whether or not that be like a new brand deal or whatever it is, but it's like instantly recognizable, and that's what we want for like our personal brand as well.
Yeah, I think that that's what I was thinking about that entire time when you were, telling us about what you found, is how important consistency is, in the way that if someone were to just all of a sudden have everything about their content change, their camera placement, their lighting, the way that they had their sound quality come through or their video quality come through, you would feel almost, I mean, not betrayed, but it's that feeling of like, wait, what's going on? I don't know what's going on. And I feel like it immediately just, I don't have trust in this person, because you go to these creators for an experience, you go to them for some information, you go to them with this amount of trust. And then when they, maybe they flip on a dime, or maybe it's just that, you look up like, how do I do blush? And because you don't know how to do that, like you go to these creators and you're like, how do I do that? And you're going to pick the one that has the nice video quality. You're going to pick the one that has actual sound quality and has consistency, rather than, someone dimly lit in a basement and like, use red and pink and orange also.
Yeah, if it's blurry, if you can barely hear them, if the quality's kind of fuzzy, obviously it's gonna lack the credibility and you're not gonna want to watch even any of the video.
Yeah, and that's literally like what Horizon Marketing said, is a person will scroll after 5 seconds if that video and sound quality is bad. And so it's something that's super, super important to keep in mind.
Right.
Awesome. I want to ask one last question on this topic. I think it's kind of interesting. What do you guys think on like in this area, this industry, being fake or overly processed or disingenuous? Because you mentioned, right, consistency and relatability. Like does that negatively impact? Does that help? And how do those things then help? Do you know what I mean? Combat that.
Yeah, I feel like consistency and relatability is so important, because if somebody isn't relatable, you're not going to want to watch their content. And if it's like all stage and all like perfect or whatever, there's a time and a place for that, like in those like ad campaigns or whatever. And that's not something that you can connect with, which is super, super important to like all of these different topics. And so if a person is like staged or not relatable, you're not going to want to watch their content, I feel like, typically.
And I think that's, I mean, your example with Michaela is a perfect example of that. Like there was that whole thing where she had fake eyelashes on and she was like, oh my gosh, look at this mascara. It's done this to my eyelashes. And then everyone saw that she had falsies on. And so it's one of those things where you're like, okay, well, it's not relatable anymore. Like I can't say that I'm going to get this product and have the same thing happen for me, when I can obviously see that you're not even doing what you're saying. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And I think it's like you have to hit that happy medium of like being on trend while also having something that is unique that people come specifically to you for, right? And like I feel like that's where it ties in with the presentation and with the purpose, because it's like your purpose is what makes you more unique in comparison to like, again, aesthetics, super important, but sometimes you can fall into like the rush of everyone else, right? So I think it's important to kind of meet that happy middle.
Definitely.
Awesome.
For sure.
We got to get moving. Celeste, you've been talking about and doing some research about comedy, right? And the kind of that idea of connection within that space.
Yes.
Tell us what you learned.
So I've loved learning about comedy and connection and how it can build a great platform, and it also brings people together through connection. So I made a video to tell us a bit more about that.
Today we will be discussing the comedy niche, how it builds connection, and how you can make it work for you as a content creator. But first, what is the comedy niche? The most popular types of comedy videos that can be seen are skits, stand-up comedy clips, pranks, etc. Comedy is one of the best ways a creator can connect with their audience. Laughter releases positive endorphins, making viewers want to keep watching. Comedy videos are also relatable, which makes the viewer feel connected to the creator. This information and more can be found on the Multipost digital blog and through the Omnizon team. Now, here is how you can make comedy work for you. Use relatable common experiences within your comedy content. Awkward dating struggles, work life, things like that. This will draw people in. This information and more can be found on the Writer Access blog. Finally, as you make people laugh, it is scientifically proven that this helps viewers see you as more of a human than a brand. This will build a more emotional connection. There are other ways to create that bond, such as engaging with comments, as you can see on the slides. This information and more can be found on with7.com. Comedy brings us together, and you'll see that through content. For Stratazine, I'm Celeste Taylor.
Okay, so after watching that video, I wanted to ask you guys, in what ways do you guys personally connect with comedy videos?
Well, me, for one thing, I love to send my reels or the posts to my friends of the content I see. Funny posts from like Brody Shreds or other, gym contents or things like that with the funny humor that me and my friends can connect with, kind of like an inside joke. So I love to just share them with my friends and kind of build our friendship around those as well.
Can I ask a follow-up? Do you send different reels to different friends?
Oh, 100%.
Yeah,
Why?
definitely.
They have different humor levels, and so I have to connect with them in different ways. So one post that I may send to one friend, the other friend may not even understand the humor level there.
Yeah.
So you kind of have to pick and choose. So that's why I like the broad range that there is.
That's right.
Yeah, and I think that even it helps with you and your connection with your friends. And that's what I think is so
For sure.
amazing about the comedy niche on social media is that with that it's almost like you can have a shared experience without actually being there in the room with that creator. And because I laughed at it and because I think that my friend will laugh at it too, I can send it to them and then they can laugh at it and then we have that shared experience, which then deepens our connection as well.
Yes, which I think is so amazing that you can connect with other people through comedy videos. I also wonder, do you guys feel more connected to the creator through their relatability to you when you watch comedy videos?
100%. Like if that person goes through a similar experience, like I think we've all been on awkward first dates, right? And so if we can relate to that and share in that misery, I guess, we are more likely to want to watch their content more, right? And stay with them and see what else they have and see what else might be funny on their page.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I think that that's why social media is so popular because it's this feeling of having a friend that's not, I mean, it's like a parasocial relationship, right? So
Yeah.
it's like they feel like a friend, they're not necessarily your friend, but having someone in the comedy space who has that real relatability or even like that ability to seem human, I feel like, I mean, this is me personally, I'm just like, they're just a person. They're just a human
Yeah.
being on this earth doing what they want to do. And I find it funny. And therefore, I like them as a person. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I feel like that's also so big for brands because it's like
Mhm.
when you see a brand like actually produce something that's like, oh my gosh, wait, that actually made me laugh. And it's like, oh wait, that's cool because it's from a brand that like I don't even think of comedy when I think of it, whether it's like even for like insurance, right? Like insurance brands, stuff like that. When they like produce something of that type, it's like, oh wow, like I feel like it's like, yeah, it's a human behind that brand at the end of the day. And like it helps you even feel more connected to them as a whole and as a brand.
Yeah, like an example of that I think of is like, I think it's Lionsgate. They have a TikTok account and they make like funny edits.
Yeah.
And everyone's like, wait, I didn't know this was actually Lionsgate making these funny edits for their
Yeah.
own movies. And I just think that's so cool that comedy can really like humanize a whole brand itself.
Yeah, that's super interesting. That
Okay, awesome. And that's why businesses do that kind of stuff, right? It's the more positive experiences we have with brands, and that's why we use like entertainment and comedy. The more likely we are to purchase from them, right? We kind of make those decisions and go that route. So awesome. Thanks, Celeste. Tyler, you're up next. You've been looking into the fitness world, right?
Yes, yeah, I have. One of the things I've been looking at is discussing the fitness niche and specifically how the presentation is used to help connect with the audience in clear and simple ways. And so I have a short video as well highlighting a few of those things. Hello, today we're looking at fitness and wellness content and the preparation required to create effective workout videos. So first, fitness content is everywhere on social media, but good creators don't just press record. Preparation plays a major role in engagement and credibility. According to the American Council on Exercise, safe and effective fitness content starts with proper planning, including clear goals and correct exercise form. The National Academy of Sports Medicine has said before filming, creators plan workouts, choose angles that clearly show movement, and use proper lighting so viewers can follow exercises safely. Healthline emphasizes that clear instructions, cues, and visuals demonstrations are especially important for beginners exercising at home. And wellness creators also highlight recovery and balance. According to the Mayo Clinic, exercise combined with rest and hydration supports both physical and mental health. In conclusion, fitness and wellness videos are effective when creators prepare intentionally, prioritize safety, and communicate clearly. For Stratazine, I'm Tyler Cox. Perfect. So one of my questions for you guys is, how have you seen the benefits of planning ahead instead of just jumping straight into filming the content?
I think that when it comes to planning ahead, you can obviously tell when something is planned out or improvised when it comes to social media posts, because it's a lot more awkward, I would say, to be in a place, especially in a fitness page, where the person doesn't really know what they're going to do next, and there's a lot of cuts, and it just doesn't seem like it's as clean as someone who immediately starts the video by like saying like 3 exercises to work the long head and the short head of your bicep, and and like having that clear cut information just immediately fed to us, rather than someone who's just kind of like, if you want to get bigger arm, I don't know, do this, I think.
Yeah, with fitness, it's so important to have that preparation beforehand because the fitness content creators need to be able to show us the results that we're going to be getting from their video tutorials. We want to see somebody who is going to show us like what we need to do and we could trust them. And that requires preparation, I think.
Yeah, 100%. You want to have that credibility built kind of with the beauty, right? You want to be able to show that this actually works and kind of build that trust. And then also with the planning, like I mentioned, the Brody Shreds, he has these kind of skits that are almost like The Office. And so you can tell he puts a lot of effort in to what they're going to say, what they're going to do. So that's one of the reasons why I follow his content. And then my other question is, how do you think that presenting of the information and everything impacts how the audience views you and the content you share?
Yeah, for me personally, like I love like fitness influencers, probably like some of my biggest content that I follow. And like for me, the presentation is some of the most important part of it. I feel like that's part of building your credibility, right? It's like because when it comes to fitness content, a lot of that's like inspirational content. It's stuff that you want to do, stuff that you look forward to, and stuff that you have aspirations on. So like when they have a very clean, clear-cut video, like they're clean, the quality is good, the sound is good, and like everything's just really put together. It also is like I want that lifestyle. I want to be more like that. And that kind of just like adds to the effectiveness of fitness content, right? It's like having that presentation be such a strong key point for them is so important.
Right. Yeah. You want to see someone who's obviously achieving those goals. If it's very clean and organized, those are the attributes that you want to have in your life as well. So it's very important.
Definitely.
Awesome. Thanks, Tyler. Colton, you jumped into, let me remember, fashion, right?
Yes. No, I researched some really interesting information regarding how fashion and people in that thrifting and secondhand space use purpose on their niche on the internet. Here's what I found. This segment explores how fashion creators on the internet, specifically within thrifting and secondhand communities, use purpose to push back against fast fashion, promote sustainability, and encourage intentional consumption.
When people think about fashion on the internet, they usually think about the fast trends, influencer hauls, or the constant buying of something new, and not something like these racks of used clothes. But these creators show that style isn't about what's keeping up with trends, it's about curating a closet that reflects who you are. For many in this space, their purpose goes beyond style. It's about merging sustainability and individuality to appeal to a younger audience. According to ThreadUp, a 2024 resale report, the secondhand apparel market is growing significantly faster than traditional retail, largely driven by that younger consumer base, which allows these creators in that space to have a larger platform to promote their purpose. And Fashion Revolution explains that fast fashion prioritizes speed and low cost over ethical and environmental responsibility, something that thrifting culture actively challenges. So, for this corner of the internet, purpose isn't something that's an afterthought, it's a foundation. Thrifting creators use fashion as a tool to promote sustainability and self expression with the responsibility to show how content can be stylish and meaningful at the same time. For Stratazine, this is Colton Brillhart.
Yeah, so within that, I found that a really large group of fashion creators online use thrifting and secondhand apparel as something to find their purpose within that niche on the internet. And with that growing consumer base of people who are getting that like secondhand apparel, it's a really great way to connect with a lot of people on the internet as well. So my first question is, why do you think that thrifting content has become so popular on social media like Instagram and TikTok?
I think it's because like everybody views it as achievable. Like there's a thrift store in pretty much every single town, right? And it's a way to go and have that like endorphin rush whenever we find like something that's cute or something that fits or something that we think will look good on us, and relate to those like bigger TikTokers like Lily and Claire that like does like good thrifting Thursdays or whatever, and we are able to then connect with them more and find new clothes that make us feel good.
Right. And I think that what's so interesting about a creator whose like purpose is to show that space is that it's so different than celebrities. Because with celebrities, they have stylists. They have people who give them pieces from Armani or from Dior or from, Dolce & Gabbana. Like these places that are very, very high fashion. And it's so unattainable for the average everyday person, right? And that's why I think that thrifting culture and like the purpose behind it is to really give people like, hey, I went and I looked at this thing and I found that it could be with this other piece, and now I look more put together. And that's what I find so interesting about, having, or why maybe it's gotten so popular on social media. So my next question is, what do you think that thrifting creators actually influence people about with their content?
I think just like, making like knowing that these like options are accessible, right? It's like, oh, like I love that outfit, but like I can't afford that. And it's like, okay, well, there are like other options, there are accessible things. And something I found really interesting is like I like how like yeah, there are those influencers that they are finding their purpose through like thrifting and like promoting that. But I think it's also interesting how like I feel like businesses even more have started playing into that, in the sense of like I recently did a lot of research on some higher like fashion brands, and some of them have even started like their own resale options where it's like you can sell back your items to them after a while if you're you don't want them anymore, maybe they're a little rough, and then other people can actually rebuy them for like a reduced price. So it's interesting to see how that even has influenced the higher fashion brands even at that.
So true. And I think that the other part of that question that I didn't read was do you think that people on like in this niche influence people to buy less fast fashion and shop more sustainably? Because what I've seen, and I mean, my entire closet is thrifted, right? So I can't really even say that I'm not influenced by this personally. But when it comes down to it, like I find myself not really going into department stores. I don't find myself using places like Shein or Temu or Zara, because I know that I could find that kind of stuff in thrift stores. But is that the same experience that you guys have had?
I think I'm starting to see a little bit of both. I think I'm seeing more fast fashion come into Goodwills. I'm seeing a lot more people put their Shein into Goodwills, which I obviously don't think is great. Um, but yeah, I don't know. I think it just depends.
I think it gives like more hope for like thrifting and stuff. Like you see other people get all of these like cute things and you're like, okay, maybe I'll like try my hand at it, and it like makes you more likely to go out and do that rather than just like the safe option of like buying fast fashion.
Yeah. And then I guess my last question is, if you were creating fashion content online, what purpose or message would you want to promote on your platform?
I would say the main one for me is that anyone can do it. That's kind of the key thing that we've talked about with fashion and thrifting, is that no matter where you are, there's locations that you can go to do it. And so I think that's really important when you're connecting with an audience that's so broad on social media, is making a message that a lot of people can have access to and feel related to them.
Yeah,
Mhm.
that's really good.
I think wrapping up with this, and that question reminds me of like why I talk about connection, presentation, purpose, those kinds of things, right? We have as creators or as people that do this for other businesses and that kind of stuff, there's a tendency, especially for businesses, to just promote products, promote, right? And that doesn't necessarily fit within these three. It can, you got to be creative with it, right?
Right.
And
Yeah.
so figuring out how do we develop a connection? How do we, all the intentionality, the steps that goes into this. This isn't just like, hey, let's flip the camera on and call it good. Like, yeah, there's a lot that goes into these things. So great job, guys, pulling that stuff together. Thanks for everyone that's watched. Please, stay tuned for Stratazine for more podcasts, more information about social media. Make sure you like and subscribe and follow us on YouTube. Thanks.